What is up, Big 12 fans, West Virginia fans, Couz's Corner family? We are live here for Wednesday night impromptu live stream, sort of impromptu. I gave you about 2 hours notice anyway. But I want to talk tonight about the Big 12 schedule, what I don't like about it. For those of you who follow me on Twitter, I've been venting about it this evening, and I'm not happy about it. I have had time to cool down. I probably overreacted just a hair on Twitter. but but yeah, I think there were a lot of things they could have done differently on this schedule, or a few things, I guess would be a better way to put it. But those few things to me are big deals. Okay, and I'll get into that. But I want to just go over that. I'm going to look at West Virginia's schedule, what I hate about it, why I think they should have done better, why I overreacted originally on Twitter, and then uh, I'm also going to talk about at the end a little bit, maybe here about the latest on the Washington State, Oregon State, Pac-12 situation. The Washington State president put out a newsletter to his folks, to his people there at Washington State. I think it was yesterday. I'm recording this live on November 1st. I think it was yesterday, October 31st, if I'm not mistaken. But before I get into the live stream here, I want to give shout out to those who are in the chat early. I've got Luke. I've got Trey Sargent. I've got Bo Stacker. I've got Big Dan T, who's a channel VIP member. Thank you, Big Dan T. And I've got Timothy Green. Thank you all for hopping on here. As you see, I've got my club level VIP members scrolling along the bottom of the screen. And later I will have my pub level members as well. Before we get too far, I want to give a shout out to my sponsor, Dutch Miller Automotive. For your automotive needs throughout the state of West Virginia, they have locations throughout the state, whether it be to purchase your next vehicle, whether it be to get your service work done. Go to the home of friends and family pricing, Dutch Miller Automotive Group. They also have locations in El Dorado, Kansas. They have Bristol, Tennessee, Wytheville, Virginia. I'm sure there are others out there that I'm forgetting or don't know, but just go on their website, DutchMillerAuto.com. Check out their inventory and what they have there. You won't regret it. And I want to thank them for supporting me here at Couz's Corner, as well as our basketball channel, Hoops from the Hills, and Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. So, also want to give a shout out to John Kelly's, who's in the house, Charles Peterson, and Gregory Krug. A lot of you, most of you on here, if not all of you, are longtime listeners of Couz's Corner. Some of you have been with me since, if not all of you, have been with me since the beginning. Really appreciate it. It means a lot to me, guys, that you guys are here for this live stream tonight. Well, here, as we talk about this, I want to pull up on the screen here West Virginia's portion, what they put out today on their Twitter account or X account or whatever you want to call it. This is the West Virginia, what the schedule is going to look like for the next 4 years. This is Big 12 games only, obviously. The glaring thing that's missing here, to me, number one thing I noticed was we went to Houston this year. So naturally you think, okay, Houston's going to come to West Virginia, come to Morgantown in 2024. Home and home, right? Didn't happen. We don't even play Houston in 2024. So I thought, okay, well, they must be coming to Morgantown in 2025. I look at the home games for 2025. I've got Colorado. I got TCU. I got Texas Tech. I got Utah. Okay. Why is Houston not on there? Well, I go to the away games, and lo and behold, I see the Houston Cougars. So why does West Virginia have to go to Houston 2 times in a row? That I have a problem with, okay? The only logical explanation I can come up with is they had to get Texas Tech to come to Morgantown either next year or 2025, right? Because we played them at their place this year. And TCU or an OC, wait a minute. I just realized something. Yeah, I'm sorry. Texas Tech has to come to Morgantown in 25 because we're playing them at their place in 24. Baylor has to come to Morgantown in 24 or 25 because we go to their place this year. Same with TCU. We went to TCU last year, so they need to come to Morgantown, which they're doing in 2025, right? And the only thing I can come up with is they cannot have West Virginia with all these Texas teams, they have to go on the road to somebody in 25. And a good friend of the show, Immaculate, who some of you may know from the Big 12 Mafia show, he put out on X earlier that it appears that no, I'm sorry, it wasn't Immaculate. It was Jeff Fuller, a BYU fan, Jeff Fuller, who's also been on my show. A lot of you may know him on X from X as well. A lot of the charts and stuff he puts out. But he made a great point that maybe every coach in the Big 12 has made a point that they want to go to Texas for at least one time a year for recruiting purposes. So maybe that was the only way to make it work. I don't know, but it seems to me like they could have swapped Baylor and Houston around or something. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me why they don't have Houston coming to Morgantown before we have to go there twice. I just think that's a bunch of crap. That was the first thing I noticed. Okay. The second thing I noticed, and this was something that was brought to my attention actually by a UCF fan, we don't play Cincinnati every year. West Virginia, the team in the Big 12 who has been on an island by themselves for over a decade. Okay. And look, no complaints the first decade. We needed a landing spot. The Big 12 provided us that. We were cool. We were cool with it, right? But once they finally throw us a bone, give us a couple teams, or well, one team close to us. UCF's actually not really that close, but at least they're in the same time zone. But they give us a couple teams, one within 200 or 300 miles in Cincinnati. So you think, obviously, naturally, it's going to be a rival, right? It's going to be your natural rival every year. Those two teams are going to play each other. Not happening. West Virginia does not play Cincinnati in 2025 at all. We also don't play UCF every year. We don't play UCF in 2026. The only other team in the Eastern time zone out besides us in Cincinnati. We do have them each on the schedule at least 3 of the 4 years, but not all 4 years. So it's baffling to me that they don't give us that year in, year out game with Cincinnati. I know we're not heated rivals. I get that. And I've talked about rivals. I'll talk about that in just a minute. But I understand that it's not a heated rivalry, so it doesn't do a lot for TV. But how about some fairness here? How about making this fair? West Virginia has been at a disadvantage with travel ever since they've been in the league, and you can't throw us this one bone, man. That doesn't sit well with me, okay? And look, we're not the only ones that I feel like are getting screwed here, okay? So I'll get to that in a minute. And then this is not really as big a deal, but you don't have Colorado coming to Morgantown to 2025. I get that. They can't travel everywhere. No biggie. And you miss out on the opportunity to bring Arizona State to West Virginia. That don't happen until 2027. All the hullabaloo that was made about Ray Anderson, their AD's comments about not coming to Morgantown, missed out on a great opportunity for TV, a great opportunity to promote a game. Ray Anderson probably won't even be the AD at Arizona State by 2027. There's, very possible. So a lot of misses on this schedule from the West Virginia side. Somebody explain to me why it's fair. I don't even know if fair is the right word because life ain't fair, right? That's what your parents always tell you. But equitable was probably a better word. Somebody explain to me how it's equitable, the schedule laid out the way it is. And let me show you something else. And like I said, it's not just West Virginia that I feel is being done wrong here. I'm going to now pull up, and guys, I'll get the comments later. I won't forget about you, I promise. But I want to go through this monologue first. But when you look at what they did, I'm going to pull up the Big 12's release here. Talk about what they did. Let me find it here. All right, because they put up a graphic for basically every team. I'm going to pull up for you Arizona. Or first, let me pull up West Virginia's. Okay. I'm going to pull up West Virginia's graphic from the Big 12. All right. You see it on here. I hope you can see it. West Virginia in 2025 has to go to Arizona State and to BYU, two of the furthest west teams. Is that proper grammar? I don't know. Anyway, two of the teams that are furthest west for us, we have to travel to both of them in 2025, the same year, one of the years that we have 5 away games. And you have 5 away games every other year with 9 conference games. So that rotates. But one of the years we have 5, we have to go out west twice. Okay. Across into the mountain time zone twice. Okay. All right. Now let's go over here. Now look at Utah. Since I have it pulled up, look at Utah's. How many seasons of these 4 does Utah have to travel out east twice in the same season? 24. They go to UCF, that's it. 25, they go to West Virginia, that's it. 26, they have to go to Cincinnati, but that's it. 27, not at all. All right, now let's pull up. Let me do this the easy way here, guys. Bear with me one second here. This screen sharing thing can be a little tricky at times. So I'm going to do this where I can just go from one to the other without having to switch screens every time. But let's pull up. Let's pull up UCF's graphic. Okay, UCF's kind of getting the short end of the stick here a little bit too, because they don't have their rivalry with Houston. They don't have the West Virginia game every year, and they don't have the Cincinnati game every year, right? So they're missing out on opportunity to have those rivals. Now, let's look at UCF's away games. They have to go in 2025, or I'm sorry, in 2027, they have to go to Arizona and to Utah. Okay? So they have to go out west twice in the same season as well. Cincinnati, when you look at their schedule for 2026, they have to go to Arizona and BYU. So they have to go out west twice in the same season. Also, when they have 5 away games, just like UCF. Now let's look at the other. We looked at Utah. You know, they only have to go out east once in the same season. They never have to go out east twice in the same season, right? Well, let's look at Arizona and Arizona State. And Colorado. Arizona, 2024. How many times do they go out east? Once. UCF. 2025, how many times? Once. Cincinnati. 2026, how many times? Once. West Virginia. 2027, how many times? Out of 5 games, they do not go to the Eastern time zone one time. How's that equitable? It's almost like they're catering to the new teams, folks. Maybe I'm over-exaggerating this. Maybe I'm overblowing it, but I think that's BS. Okay? Let's look at Arizona State. 2024, they go to Cincinnati. That's the only Eastern team on their schedule. Away games. 2025 away games. None. 2026 away games. UCF. 2027, West Virginia. Only 1 per season. And that's if they have any. Finally, let's look at Colorado. Maybe this one will be different. Who knows, right? Let's look at their 2024 away games. They have to go to UCF. 2025, they go to West Virginia. That's it. 2026, only Cincinnati. And 2027, would you look at that? Only have to go to UCF. None of the 4 new teams, who are all in the Mountain time zone. Arizona's in the Pacific time zone part of the year, but that's a whole different conversation. Just for the sake of simplicity, they're in the Mountain time zone. They have to travel to the Eastern time zone once a year at most. But all 3 teams in the Eastern time zone have to travel to the Mountain time zone twice in the same season, at least once. So somebody explain to me how UCF, West Virginia, and Cincinnati aren't getting the short end of the stick on that deal. Now, maybe there's a good explanation for it, and I'm willing to listen, but I think that's a bunch of garbage. Now let's talk about the rivalries again. I understand West Virginia, Cincy's not a heated rivalry, but there is some history there from our days in the Big East, and geographically, it just makes freaking sense, right? It also makes sense that you have UCF and Cincy. I've been seeing the social media banter because they're playing each other this week, I think. And I've been seeing the banter on social media, and they don't like each other, folks. That's a rivalry being missed out on right there. Okay? And probably the most egregious one, Farmageddon between Iowa State and Kansas State, gone. Yes, they get to play each other some, But why would you not make that a standing year in, year out rivalry? It's one of the only traditional rivalries you have left in your conference, and you're throwing it away. It makes absolutely no sense. So Kansas State fans and Iowa State fans have a right to be pissed off over that, in my opinion. And I just don't understand the reasoning. Now, like I said, I know there's probably a reason behind a good explanation to this. And if somebody can tell me what it is, I'm willing to listen. But it almost has a feeling like they're trying to cater a little bit to the new schools. And maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe I'm overblowing that. I don't know. And maybe those one time a year trips to Texas maybe there's something to that. Maybe Jeff Fuller's onto something there. But I just think it's garbage. The only 4 rivalry games that are happening every single year, there's only 4 that they're doing every year. It's Arizona State, BYU Utah, TCU Baylor, and there's one more, and I'm totally forgetting it. But nonetheless, there's only 4 rivalries. Oh, Kansas State, Kansas. Only 4 traditional rivalries that they're playing every year for the next 4 years. And I just don't understand, why could you not do like a pod scheduling type deal where you play teams in your pod? Do something, man. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's not equitable at all. I don't know, man. I want to. I'm thinking about opening the show up later if I have time. I've not done a call-in show before. Not sure if you guys are even interested in that. I've thought about doing that tonight to get other people's opinions on this, because maybe I'm overblowing this thing. Maybe I'm overly emotional about it. Maybe I know I'm biased to West Virginia. I get that. I understand that. So maybe y'all can talk me off the ledge. But anyway, saw one of my channel members with a comment here. I want to get to it. David Cummings, thanks for being a channel member here at Couz's Corner. He says, maybe we should take a longer look at the ACC if the offer is extended. I went on, I took a little bit of flack because I got on underneath West Virginia's post on this. I put, we need to do everything we can do that's possible to get into SEC. And look, people are laughing at me for that comment. And I said everything. That means if we have to take partial shares or something, maybe we get in that, try to do whatever we can do. I don't think the SEC is interested in West Virginia right now, unfortunately. But my gosh, man, and I'm telling you, I was pissed off, and I put out on Twitter that this makes looking at this schedule pissed me off so bad initially. It made me want to leave the conference, or at least consider it. And I love my Big 12 brethren out there. I love you guys. You're awesome. It has nothing to do with you. But I feel like the conference is screwing us a little bit here. I really do. And I can't help but think that. Now, what will really be interesting to see is when they schedule these Western trips. If they give West Virginia a bye week before that trip or after that trip or something, maybe I could see that. And not just West Virginia, but the other teams too, UCF, Cincinnati, or even if BYU has to come east, whatever. I'm just using West Virginia as an example. If they can make it equitable there, maybe, or, say, hey, we can't give you Cincinnati every year, but we'll give you, a week off between games or whatever. I don't know, just something. But I just don't understand. It almost appears that they're catering to some of the new schools. And I just can't help but be a little bit bothered by that, So I don't know. Guys, this chat room is getting filled up right now. I really appreciate everybody jumping in. Most of you know how this works. If you want to make sure I see your comment, because there's no way for me to see them all. If you want to make sure I see it, you can drop me a super chat, hit the $ down near the comment box, type your comment in with a one-time donation. It highlights your comment for me, and I'll be more likely to see it and read it. Also, if you're a channel member here, you have a badge beside your name, and I will try to read as many of those as I can as well. They obviously get first come, first serve. Channel members get preferential treatment, I guess is the word for it, because they do pay a membership every month to be in the channel. That's only fair. Big Dan T says, I agree with going to SEC, no to ACC. Yeah, Big Dan, I know you're not an ACC fan. And I'm not either, really. But, man, this is frustrating. I can't help but be frustrated by this. I feel like the Big 12 did no favors at all for any of the legacy members of the Big 12, for that matter, especially. Uh, I mean, is Baylor and TCU really that big? Somebody educate me here. If there are any Baylor or TCU fans in the chat room, is that really that big of a rivalry that they need to make sure it happens every year? Explain that to me. I didn't realize it was that big of a rivalry. Kenny, that's okay, buddy. You don't have to do super chats. Nobody has to do it, man. I totally understand that. I don't want you to feel obligated. It's something I have to throw out there to everybody to make sure that they know it's available to them, buddy. I don't want anybody to feel obligated to doing it. Only if you can, and want to. Brownsville Beer says WSU is already going to be behind the 8 ball if it joined the SEC in facilities, competition-wise. Taking media pay cut to join would make it hard and impossible to compete. I don't mean take a pay cut from where we are now. I mean take a smaller share of the SEC money. Remember, the SEC is probably going to be making $70 million a year. So if we could go in for 40, we'd still be making more money than we're making now, right? But on the backside of that, we'd have to buy our way out of the Big 12. So it probably doesn't make any sense. I get it, but Browns and Beers, I know you were one of the ones that respectfully disagreed with me on Twitter, and that's fine, man. I like debate. That's one of the reasons I'm on Twitter all the time debating people. I enjoy a good debate. I try to do it respectfully, as most of you guys do, but I said a lot of the things I said on Twitter out of emotion. I'm not, like I said on here, I saw somebody say, why did we come to the Big 12? I said earlier in my show, Lonnie, I love my Big 12 brethren. I have nothing against the other teams in the Big 12 at all. And this has nothing to do with that. It's the administration and the screw job I felt like we've been handed here with the scheduling. That's all it is. And deep down, I don't want that to happen. I'm just very, very frustrated at this schedule. And I really think the Big 12 could have done a better job of being more equitable with the scheduling. Like I laid it out, Lonnie, if you were here, I laid out the reasons why. The Eastern teams are having to travel west more than the Western teams are having to travel east. And maybe that's not a big deal in the grand scheme of things, but I just think they could have done a better job. And there's more rivalry games you could be playing, man. Why not take advantage of the rivalry games? I don't understand it. And fan attendance to games. A West Virginia fan is more likely to go to Cincinnati to watch a game. And man, I was just in Orlando to watch the UCF game. West Virginia fans turned out for the Browns and Beers. You were there. West Virginia fans came out in droves for that game, man. That's good for the visiting or for the home team. It's good for their local economy. It's also good for TV when you see a packed stadium. Why would you not want to do that? Why would you not want to put games that your fan bases can travel to? I just don't understand it. Somebody. I was trying to get Josh Neighbors to come on the show with me tonight, guys, and he would have done it, but he already had other. His schedule just didn't allow it. But he did tell me that he actually likes the Big 12 schedule. So I'm hoping to do a show with him where he and I can hash that out, and because I do want somebody to explain to me, maybe there's something I'm missing here. I'm willing to be. I'm willing to be corrected here. I'm not saying this has to be the end all be all. Lots of bad blood. Okay, thank you, Bob. I appreciate that, man. And I get all that, but is it really bigger than Farmageddon between Iowa State and Kansas State? And I know maybe they didn't want to give Kansas State 2 rivalry games, maybe, but I don't know, man. I just John says we're going to get smacked to 27, and maybe more ACC schools will join. Yeah, we just got to hope. I hate to say this, man, but as a West Virginia fan, I'm almost cheering for the dissolution of the ACC so that we can get some Big 12, some ACC schools in the league, man. And I don't want to be that way. I don't want to see a conference fall apart. It's really not good for the sport. And Trey says he has a feeling there will be some Thursday and Friday games out west. Big 12 did say they're going to do more weeknight games, and if that's the case, it's really going to be hard because fans definitely won't be able to travel because it'll be a work night. If you're going to have teams traveling from one time zone to two time zones away, at least put it on a Saturday so they can travel. Tom Harvey says neighbors don't like it because he doesn't care. You know what? I actually disagree with that. He actually grew up in Virginia as a Virginia Tech fan, so he actually does like. And Josh Neighbors has been extremely, extremely complimentary of West Virginia on several shows. So I don't necessarily agree with that, Tom. I understand where you could see that though, because he has been covering the Big 12 for a long time. But I think all the years he's been covering the Big 12, West Virginia's been in the league though. So I don't think he has any bias toward West Virginia. But I respect your opinion. All right, Big Dan T, see what you got to say, my man. He says, so this is a crappy, shitty schedule, but it will all change again when Pitt and Louisville join us after the ACC explodes. Okay, that would be great. Like I said, BYU is okay going without a rival. You have Utah, bro. I guess you're saying you don't want Utah. Okay. Man, that's a rival. Look, I'm glad that rivalry game is being played. That's good for the conference. But you know what else is good for the conference? Farmageddon. You know what else is good for the conference? Cincinnati, West Virginia. UCF, West Virginia. UCF, Cincinnati. That's good for the league. Okay. Got a super chat in the house. Got Samuel Austin. Samuel, I thank you for the super chat. He says, BU fan here. Yes, BU TCU is a rivalry and should be protected. But all of these rivalries we are discussing should have been protected and could have been protected in a pod structure. Feel bad for West Virginia. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate that, my man. And I knew Baylor and TCU was a rivalry. I just didn't understand. I guess I don't understand how heated it is. Maybe it's more heated than I realized. But I'll be honest with you. I think every school in the conference is becoming rivals with TCU. Man, they play dirty. They're a dirty bunch of. I don't even want to say, but man, they played dirty in that West Virginia game, man. A lot of crap happening after the whistle. Crap that shouldn't be happening in a football game, man. And I've never seen a team injure so many players in my life. That can't be coincidence, man. Hogerson will probably be fired. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I disagree with that. I've been meaning to do a video on that. I just haven't had the time. That's why I don't think that's happening. Ryan Rusho has updated on WV waiver a battle. Okay. I appreciate that, Kenny. I'll get to that in a moment, man. All right, now I ranted about the schedule enough. You're right, Timothy. He should have been ejected. I've ranted about the schedule enough. Now I can talk about the Washington State, Oregon State situation. We all know what's going on. Oregon State, Washington State have filed a lawsuit basically against the Pac-12. They're basically trying to get control of the conference because they're saying that, hey, once a team announces they're leaving, then they have given up their voting rights as a board member of the conference. And if that's the case, then there are only two active board members left, which is Washington State, Oregon State, which means they would get the assets. Well, obviously the teams that are leaving the conference are disagreeing with that. They said, no, we're still members of the conference and have rights to the assets until we officially leave, yada, yada, yada. It's in mediation right now. There's been some speculation online as to whether or not Washington State, Oregon State eventually come to the Big 12. I don't think that's going to happen, at least not anytime soon. Some disagree with me on that. But Washington State's president put out a newsletter yesterday to his staff. And here's what it said. This is from Kirk Schulz, the president of Washington State University. I'm assuming it was to everybody on the campus or whatever. It says, many people feel like their heads are spinning with all the changes in college sports. For me, more has happened in the last 2 years than the previous 20 years of my career around intercollegiate athletics. Not only have all Pac-12 schools left the conference except WSU and Oregon State University, there's conference realignment nationally, recent name, image, and likeness changes to support our student athletes, and new college sports transfer rules. During this whirlwind, there are a few things I'd like to share with Cougar Nation. First, it's really important for Washington State to chart its own path forward. While the current state of the Pac-12 conference was not a situation of our making, we refuse to let it define us. We've moved forward with legal action and plans to secure our athletic future with the assistance of an advisory committee I appointed. We already know a few things. We're not going to spend the same. This is big here, guys. This is how bad the situation is for Washington State. We are not going to spend the same amount of money on athletics that we have for the last decade. We will still be competitive. This is a big sentence, but it'll be different than when we had the smallest athletic budget in a power conference. I want you to let that sink in. Washington State already had the smallest budget in all of Power 5 athletic budget. They were already at a disadvantage. Now they're going to have even less money than that. That's a powerful statement. Let's keep going. But I want to remind Coug fans that we'll still have Division I athletics. Didn't say Power 4. Division I athletics. We'll still compete for championships and have football Saturdays. We'll still show up every day on the court and in the classroom. The opponents will be different. And even if we don't know the future of the Apple Cup, the resolute Cougar spirit hopefully will only grow stronger. We will need people to continue to be supportive. And I don't mean just financially. We keep attending events and watch parties. I appreciate everybody who cheers on our excellent volleyball, soccer, football, baseball, and all teams. We shouldn't just stop because we may be playing new schools. Many of our alumni take pride in seeing our teams compete, succeed, and have a national presence. You may not be a huge sports fan, but when you wear a Cougar shirt, you'll get a Go Cougs from somebody. That Coug connection and athletics are part of our special college experience. I think most would agree that intercollegiate athletics chasing dollars has become excessive. The problem is that it never stops. I'm not sure people really want college sports to become more professional. It should be about the student athletes representing Washington State University as they compete at an elite level, both athletically and academically. They deserve our support. Top flight collegiate athletics are central to the student experience at Washington State University. We will not let that change, even if our opponents change. Most importantly, we remain firmly committed to helping all our students graduate on time and ensuring that they have a great Cougar experience. So the key statements there, they will continue to compete in Division I athletics. Didn't say Power 4, said Division I, and said it'll be different. They'll still be competitive, but it'll be different than when they had the smallest athletic budget in a Power 5 conference. So it's almost like he's kind of alluding to the fact, you guys tell me if I'm wrong, am I reading this wrong, but it sounds to me like he's almost acknowledging the fact that they're not going to be a power school anymore. They're not going to be in a power conference anymore. It looks to me like it's leaning more and more towards them forming some kind of an alliance, merger, whatever, with the Mountain West Conference. But that's I feel bad for Washington State, but I have been adamant. I don't think it's the right move for the Big 12 to add them right now. As I sit here and complain about the travel for West Virginia, why in the world would I want to go add Washington State and Oregon State? And I don't have anything against those schools, man. I think this sucks what's happening to them. It sucks. It really does. But as a West Virginia fan, I want what's best for my team, and I want what's best for the Big 12, and I don't think adding those two schools are it, at least not right now. So anyway, that's my opinion. You guys can hate it, love it, whatever. All right, let's see if I needed to catch up on any more comments. I have another super chat to talk about. Big Dan T, thank you, man. He says, I'm okay with bringing in a Beaver, but we already have too many Cougars and Wildcats, LOL. We do. Hey, we already got two Cougars, right? And two Wildcats. So I get you, man. That's cool. I like that comment, man. Let's see. They are more Big 12 than the four teams coming in for sure. Sorry, guys. I don't know what just happened. But anyway, I'm back. That was weird. Hey, that's the beauty of live TV, man. Hey, Gilst, thank you for coming in, man. He says, Couz, big fan of your show. I'm a Jayhawk with great respect for WVU. Come off the ledge. We need you in the Big 12. Good rivalry between WVU and Kansas in football and basketball. Man, we've had some great basketball games over the years. Let's pick up Pitt, Rock Chalk, Jayhawk, Allen. Allen, thank you, my man. hey, a lot of respect for Kansas. What they're doing in football right now is really really cool. What Lance Leipold's been able to do there, turning that program around. I still think it's being overlooked a little bit, at least especially by those outside of Big 12 circles. What he's been able to do there and where that program's came from, and man, your basketball program, nothing else to be said about it. Hey, I've given Kansas crap over the years because everybody. Hey, let's face it, everybody in the Big 12 hates Kansas in basketball, and a lot of that is because we're jealous. Let's face it, we're all pissed off because you guys win so much. Uh, I'll just be honest with you. But yeah, and sometimes we feel like you guys get special treatment, and I do think you do sometimes. But that being said, I have a lot of respect for Kansas fans, and you guys are an awesome Big 12 conference mate, man. And thanks for trying to talk me off the ledge. I'm not as emotional about it now as I was earlier, but man, I was when I first saw it, I got furious, man. I was like, "Are you serious? We're not playing?" Because I thought us in Cincinnati every year would be a given. I just thought it would be a given, It just makes sense to West. Oh yeah, thank you, Lonnie, for that reminder. Bob Knight, man, Bob Knight, rest in peace. One of the greatest basketball coaches of all time, a true legend. I mean, the guy won over 900 games in his career. Uh, I don't want to. I'm not. I refuse to remember Bob Knight uh, by the controversies and things surrounding him when he retired. I'm going to remember Bob Knight as the guy who coached Isaiah Thomas and coached a lot of stars at Indiana. Um, I think he had the last undefeated team ever. Is that right? Maybe the only one. I can't remember, but nonetheless, uh, just one of the true legends. Me and Mountaineer Paul were talking earlier. He really goes on the Mount Rushmore. Paul says, in his opinion, he should go on the Mount Rushmore of college basketball coaches with Krzyzewski, Wooden, and Dean Smith. And it's hard to argue with that, really. Inventor of the 2-3 zone. Yeah, great point. And I didn't even know that, Kenny. Bobby Knight invented the 2-3 zone. That's neat, man. And I actually, do you guys remember his time? This is a Big 12 show. Y'all remember his time at Texas Tech? Um, he actually coached at Texas Tech for a few years. In West Virginia, we were in the Big East at the time, and we actually played at Texas Tech in the NCAA tournament one year and beat him while he was there. So, and that was a pretty big win for us at the time because our program was kind of on the rise at the time, and John Beeline had us, kind of coming up the ranks, so to speak. 75-76 team is the last one to go undefeated. That's what I was thinking, Philip. Are they the only one to ever do it or just the last one to ever do it? Because I was thinking some of those John Wooden teams did it years ago too at UCLA, but I could be wrong. But anyway, guys, I don't really have a lot else to say. If you guys let me know, if you guys want to do a call-in show, I do. I think I have the capabilities of doing one. And if you want to try to do it, I'm all for it. You guys let me know in the comment section. This is your show. I've never done one before. I've done it through StreamYard, but this is an actual call-in where they call, and I talk to just like Greg Pflugar does, or 365 guys do it occasionally. If that's something you guys are interested in, let me know, and I will try to make it happen. See, yes, meow. I'll look that up. Roar. Kenny, what are you saying yes to? Are you saying yes to the call-in show? I'd like more specifics. If so, I will put the number. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Here is the number. I'm going to copy it and paste it into the chat. That is the call-in number. And let's see if it works. Actually, hold on a minute. Don't call yet. I got to fix something, I believe. Nope, it should work. I think it'll work. Anyway, you can try it. The math says the East-West separation will tilt west. 3 East teams, 5 West teams. That explains the lopsided schedules. Yeah, I guess you're right, man. It's just aggravating. It's really aggravating because I feel like we're not getting. I feel like the East teams are still getting the short end of the stick here a little bit. That's all. But I understand there are a lot more Western teams. And sometimes I get emotional over these things, and it's hard for me to do math when I'm emotional. So, but yeah, phone lines are open, guys. If you want to give me a call, and I want to hear your opinions on this scheduling or on the Washington State situation. I don't really, Kenny. To be frank, I don't. I prefer to do the call in. I just want to try it and see if it works. The whole StreamYard thing, I prefer the call in. That's all I'm saying. A voice channel one at a time. See, DM gaming, I'm learning, man. I'm not very good at I'm not very good at electronics, man. I actually do have a Discord account, a private service available only to my channel, my club level channel members, where we do some private stuff in there. It's one of the perks of being a club level member. I could have a different server, I guess, for call-ins, but I don't know. I wouldn't know exactly how to set it up, to be honest with you, man. I've got some friends who could help me out with it, though, if I wanted to do that. But would that be? Is that something that could be done over the computer, like, and the audience can hear the conversation? I'm assuming. Big Dan T, thank you for the super chat, my man. He says, I have something to say. Eat shit, Pitt. Thank you, Dan. Hey, we can always say that. West Virginia fans were chanting that at the UCF game last weekend, man. Then why didn't WCF and Cincy vote against adding all the Pac-12 schools and BYU? I don't know if I'm not sure they didn't. It doesn't require the majority vote, I don't believe. And two, they don't, they want to do what's best for the conference as a whole. Look, I'm a fan, right? I'm a fan and a big, guy with a big mouth on YouTube. Just because I'm not happy with it, it doesn't mean our administration has a problem with it. I would love to get their thoughts. I'm hoping that Ren Brecker at some point will come out and talk about it, and explain it or something. But Mountaineer Lair, to be honest, I don't want to have 6 people on at a time, man. I can't navigate 6 people. Just being honest with you, it gets really confusing. You have everybody talking over everybody. I can't manage it. It's just not. It's not my. I know some people do it. It's just not my cup of tea, and I'm not comfortable with it. Browns and Beers says downloaded the Discord app but forgot to join. Thanks for the reminder. Oh, thank you, Browns and Beers. Yeah, man. I will drop some info in there. Sometimes if I get some intel or some rumors that might not be public knowledge, I will sometimes drop it in that Discord server. And it's also a place where we can just chat. And like I said, I was trying to come up with a perk for my club level members, the ones who pay $4.99 a month, and because I didn't really have a lot for them. And that was one that I did.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hello? Hey. What's up? Big Dan T's in the house. How you doing?
Yeah. Doing all right. Sorry, it's on a really bad delay. I couldn't hear you there for a second.
No worries. Can you guys hear Big Dan T? Say, put yes or no in the chat, please. Big Dan T, what's on your mind, man?
Oh, I just wanted to. Nobody else was calling. See if you did try it out for you and see how. I agree with you on this schedule. I think you already know that, though. We talked about that. So.
Yeah. It's I'm a little bit ticked off. And now the guy in the chat earlier, I'm trying to find his name. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he Bob Holsey made a great point that there being so many more Western teams in the league, there's obviously going to be some imbalance, but
sure,
I think there's too much imbalance, I guess. if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm just with you. I don't understand why they went that way with it when it's so much easier. I think with the pod thing to include, not only do you have your rivalries, but you can develop more rivalries.
Yeah.
You know, there's no reason we should have to play Utah and Arizona every year or one of those teams.
Right. Agreed.
So, yeah. Anyway, I just really wanted to hop on here and get your first call in.
Yeah, thank you, man, for doing that. I was trying
Figure
to.
it out.
I don't think it's coming through over the computer. I think it's coming through over my phone, but I got my phone held up to the microphone so they can hear. I got to figure it. I got to figure out how to get it to come through on my computer, like Flugar does. I'm gonna have to get him to help me out. But I appreciate.
Help you, but I'm just as clueless.
No, that's all good, man. I appreciate the call and appreciate your support, brother. Take care.
Yeah, brother. Yes, sir.
Bye. All right, guys. Yeah, it's phone over mic right now. Yeah, that's what I thought, DM Gaming, and I have no idea how to. I'm sitting here looking at my Google Voice system here, but I have no idea how to make it come through on my computer instead of on my phone. Like I said, I'm really clueless when it comes to technology. And it even shows receiving calls on here. So I don't know, man. I'm like I said, I'll figure it out though. I will figure it out. Speakers ringing. Wait a minute. I bet that's where I got to do. Anyway, I'll figure it all out. I don't want to do this on your all's time. I'll do it offline at some point. Kenny thinks it's best to go to 14 pods. The only I like the pod system, Kenny, but the one downfall of the pod system is unless you add at least one more team from the East. DM Gaming, I'll do that, man. Send me. I don't know if you're on Twitter. Shoot me a DM or something so I can communicate with you. At Couz 206, as you can see there on Twitter. Hit me up on there if you want to, man, and we'll chat about it. I appreciate your offering. I do want to be able to do call-in shows. I do think the fans enjoy it. I'll just be straight up. I'm not a big fan of call-in shows as far as listening to call-in shows, but I know that a lot of people like them, and I want to do what you guys want. You know what I mean? And you know, I've talked to some other YouTubers that do this, and they said that it really, you know, their fans really enjoy them. So I probably won't do them all the time, but I probably will do them occasionally, kind of be a special treat or special feature or something. But yeah, I would like to do it. Right now, I'm just trying to use Google Voice. That's what Greg Flugar does, and it comes right through his computer. I'm sure it's just something simple that I'm not seeing. Probably one button I got to click, and I'm not clicking it. But nonetheless, back to the pod thing. I enjoy the pod. The pod's a good idea, but if you think about the pod system, if they added one more team from the East, it would make perfect sense. You have the 4 Eastern teams in one pod, right? Well, right now we only have 3 of us. You really need one more team in that pod, right, to make it even. Do you add Iowa State? Well, then that's not fair to Iowa State because they have to play all 3 of their games against teams that are over 800 miles away, right? So it's not really fair to them. And in my opinion, Iowa State, they're one of the original members of the Big 12. They shouldn't have to do that. They were in the league before West Virginia was. Don't put them in a pod with the newbies and make them have to travel all the time. Now, the other pod option I've seen is, hey, put Texas in a pod with UCF, West Virginia, and Cincinnati. And now that might be unfair to Houston, but I'm okay being a little bit unfair to Houston, more so than Iowa State, because Iowa State is the original member. Houston's not. Houston will have to travel a little bit further for their games than they would say if they were in a Texas pod or whatever. But I don't know. It's probably not that far to fly from Houston directly to Orlando. It should be a direct flight, right? 2 of the bigger airports in the country. Yeah, Samuel. That's what yeah, exactly, Samuel. Put Houston's 4th East school. I know it's messy, but that's the only thing that makes sense considering, yeah. And that might be why they didn't go to pods. It was probably hard to get everybody to agree on that because of, somebody's getting screwed, right? If you go to pods, it's just the way it's going to be. So I don't know, man. nobody should have protected rivalries if we can't have one. Yeah, it does kind of suck, man. I think you should do it. You either do it for everybody or nobody. But Josh Neighbors' point was, I think his point was this. Just in a brief chat with him, he says it's a way. If you want to feel like a conference, you need everybody playing everybody as much as possible, and that's the only way to do it. Is for all these teams to play each other. For everybody to feel like they're a conference and they're a part of the same league. When you have this many teams, so BYU loves to travel, huh? Well, heck, put them. Well, I don't want them in our pod, but no offense, BYU fans, I just don't want to travel to BYU every year. Fans of these other teams get mad at me. I have nothing against these other teams, man. It's strictly a financial issue. West Virginia has been in a financial disadvantage in this league for over a decade, man. And it's probably impacted our ability to compete. I know that's not the only thing. Some of it has just been bad play and bad coaching. I get that. But it can't help. And by gosh, it's time we're more equitable here. Oregon State and UConn. Hey, I could live with that. I could live with that. One out west, one east. Let's do it. They have a book drive going for the WVU game. New and used books can be brought to Alumni Center, and they have a wish list on Amazon. Cole, are you being serious? Is that you're talking about BYU fans? I assume. That's interesting. Very interesting. You know what? Gilst, I was actually, and I need to promote the show more, but I had Big 12 Mafia, who's a BYU fan, on my show to preview the BYU game coming up this weekend, and he and I joked at the end of the show. We could have developed a rivalry called the Battle of the Mountains between BYU and West Virginia, but heck, now we have two other schools coming in that have mountains in Utah and Colorado. So you can't really. Which team would you apply that to, right? So it's a great point, man. Glad you brought that up. 2-hour flight from Houston to Orlando. Easy breezy, man. 2-hour, 10-minute flight. Easy breezy. Easy peasy. BYU Cleveland chapter president was on WA. Okay, interesting. Appreciate you sharing that with me, man. That's pretty neat. Whether you agree or disagree with their religious beliefs, you got to respect their passion. You have to respect their sincerity and their dedication to their cause, man. It's organized with Cleveland, Pitt, DC, and one other chapter of BYU alumni. They are partnering up with the United Way of West Virginia. Cool stuff. Battle of Heaven and Hell. BYU and ASU. That's funny because of because of their mascot, Sun Devil. That's cool. The 4 mountains in a pod. I don't know about that now. I don't know about that one. That would suck for us big time. Potential video, possibly. Yeah. I'll have to look into that, Cole. You said it was on WAJR. I have to do some research on that, man. Well, guys, listen. I don't have a whole lot else to talk about. I'm just here to laugh at you losing to Kansas. The Mad Tea Sipper. Hey, congrats to Kansas, by the way. That was a big win for them, man. And in my opinion, a good win for the Big 12. Any time one of the other teams can beat Oklahoma or Texas, it's a good win, in my opinion. Actually, Paul and I just recorded that, Silver Mark. We just recorded it about an hour or two ago. It should be up either tonight or tomorrow. Probably tomorrow, I would say. We typically don't like releasing our videos late at night because they typically don't get as much push. Because for obvious reasons, people aren't up late watching videos. But it should be out tomorrow at least. Maybe the Big 12 is trying to kick face. Thank you for hopping on. This is the first time I recall seeing you in my chat. Not saying you haven't been here before, but first time your name has come to that I've noticed it. So thank you for being here. It says maybe Big 12 is trying to capitalize on the Pacific market versus East Coast market. Might explain the unevenness with UCF, Cincy, and WVU. Might explain it. Yeah, could be. Maybe they're trying to get more viewers in that market. That's a good point, Kickface. 2026. I think he'll get at least one more year after this one. They're not going to fire him, man. He's best friends with the chairman of the board and their biggest donor. He's going to have a really long leash there. But at some point, he's going to have to start winning. Yes, Big Dan T, I am going. Actually, I will be there. Are you? I hope to see Prime by the time Colorado comes to Morgantown. Yeah, me too. They're not coming until what, 2026? 25. They're coming to 25. Yeah, I think he'll be there. That's only 2 more seasons. I think he'll be there then. You want Dana gone? Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you guys do. He's not doing too great there, is he? Beat West Virginia, though. Now we got to live with that for the next 3 freaking years. 2 years. And we got to go there again. That's another reason. I don't know if you were on here, Kickface, early on, but that was one of the reasons I gave that I'm so unhappy with this schedule. We had to go to Houston this year. Well, guess what? We don't get a return game with them because we have to go to Houston again in 2025. It's BS. Anyway, all right, guys. Well, listen, you are going to be there, Dan. Good. Maybe we're running into each other, man. Where will I be? I'm going to be in section 216 for any of you who are going to be there. Check me out. I'll be section 216. Don't remember that. Don't know my exact seat number. Can't remember it off the top of my head, but I do know it's section 216. Anyway, guys, I'm going to hop off of here. It's been almost an hour. I really appreciate you guys hopping on here for this 1 hour. Letting me rant a little bit, get this off my chest. It was nice. Thanks for all the opposing fan bases giving their opinions. Some of you talked me off the ledge. I appreciate that. Thanks to Big Dan T for calling, helping me try out the call-in show system, which I obviously have to fix. That being said, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Have a top shelf day. And don't forget to Q Country Roads. Oh, and don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Got to advertise that. And don't forget to check out my sponsor, Dutch Miller Automotive, for your automotive needs. Go check them out, DutchMillerAuto.com. Q Country Roads. Hummus Hero, totally agree, brother. For those of you who are hopping on late, be sure to go check the replay of the video once I have it up here in just a couple minutes.